Welcome to My Creative Corner 3, a podcast about quilting, crafting, creativity, with a dash of garden, chatting about current interests and life in my northern town. You can find show notes at mycreativecorner3.com. You can also find all of my social media, how to purchase a virtual cup of coffee, and all events on the website. Please feel free to stop by and leave a comment. I really appreciate everyone who listens. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome to the podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. It's July 21st. It is the year of the fire horse. Yes, a Lunar New Year just happened this last week, and I always find it fascinating to check in on the year, what the stories are about Lunar New Year, and this year is the fire horse. Now, I happen to be a horse on the Chinese zodiac, and guess what? I was born the year of the fire horse, which happens only every 60 years. So, oh my goodness, you happen to know that my next birthday in the spring is going to be my Diamond Jubilee. But let's talk about the fire horse. It's a rare Chinese zodiac year combining the horse, which is known for freedom and energy, with the fire element, which is a time of intense passion, transformation, high speed change. It symbolizes bold, charismatic energy, but it's also associated with impulsivity and potential volatility. So when you think about what happened 60 years ago, it was the time in the United States of the Civil Rights era, massive societal changes, and it kind of feels like maybe something like that could be happening in the year 2026. What I find interesting about these things is they're kind of spot on for my personality and all of the things. It's very rare. It happens every 60 years. So I find that to be very, very cool. Individuals are encouraged. So this is for everybody, that everybody this year is encouraged to push forward with your personal goals, embrace change, and endure the process for the ultimate reward. Now, if that doesn't sound like quilting, knitting, cross stitch, journaling, and all, I don't know what does. The fire horse is a sprinting animal, which indicates that this year events are going to unfold rapidly. So I thought that was fun, and I really do fit the fire horse personality type. And every person has a lot of innate personality traits and things that we find interesting. But I always enjoy reading about these Lunar New Year because it's fun to learn about other cultures and to learn about the world at large. So, the fire horse, yeah, it could be quite the year for me, especially. I have a few things planned and I'm embracing the process, and I'm slowing down because I feel like everything is galloping away with me already. It's the end of February and changes are always happening, and it feels like life is happening at lightning speed. So last year was the year of the snake, which happened to be the year of shedding the skin, so to speak, the year of shedding old things that don't serve you. Oh my goodness, didn't I talk about that at end? And then this year is the new, I think, a year of fresh, new changes, and it happens to be what we call the second act, the year you turn 60 years old, and I start really focusing on what am I going to do, A, for my birthday, which happens to be Memorial Day, and I'm going to be out of town for the weekend, but how am I going to celebrate? How am I going to celebrate my 60th year. I'm looking for advice. On my Jubilee, which was the 50th year, I made a quilt to celebrate 50 because it was not easy turning 50. So I found a block that looked like an emerald. It was designed by Mary Fonz, and I really enjoyed making it as a way to commemorate the year. It took me most of my 50th year to get it completed from piecing to quilting it. And I think I'm going to get that quilt out and use it. It's still cold. hmm We'll talk about that next. But anyway, if you have any ideas, because 60 years is you're supposed to be your Diamond Jubilee celebration, and I'm thinking, I got my ring resized and my wedding ring, and I've been wearing that. And I have a few diamond and faux diamond pieces, but I'm thinking maybe I should get something um, more to celebrate the day. Interesting things to think about. And I'm definitely not going to try to do 60 things this year. What I am trying to do is take this year and really focus on the Analog Life Project, which I did find at an Instagram page. And she's posting once a month about the project, and it's mostly a personal journey, a personal thing, journaling. I got a couple pen pals through the project. And Analog Life is not signing off of every digital tool that we have, is using it intentionally, slowing down and enjoying things. So let's talk about what have I slowed down and enjoyed over the last few weeks since I talked to you last. Well, it's the Olympics. This is a time where I've started a new knitting project, and I've been knitting while watching the the end of the day show where they recap everything on NBC, and that's been a lot of fun. I'm working on a hood. It's being knitted by a yarn that's called Rios Illusions, and I have one skein, but I know where I bought it is at Mother of Yarns in Chesapeake, Virginia. Adorable Quilt Shop has an online presence, and you can buy things online. So I may buy a couple more skeins if I need to. I want to make an open hood for days that I don't want to squash my hair in snow or rain. And it's my favorite colors of purples and greens, and it's a variegated wool blend yarn. And I really, really like knitting with it. I'm going to tell you, I'm using an older circular needle just to knit this on the flat. But the red hat that I did, it's called Melt the Ice Hat. I used some needles the circular needles, and I loved them. They were Chiago, Chiaogoo needles. Mm, gorgeous. My daughter has a complete set. I would say if you can't do the complete set, which is $216, you could do the all kinds of sets, but I only use specific sizes generally. So just pick up the main sizes you use. I can't believe what the difference of knitting needles make. So that's what I'm knitting. Just a few rows a day, just a meditative moment in the evening while I'm watching the shows of the sports. And it's been a great way to also knit a little bit at lunch to kind of reset and feel grounded and calm before you go back to work. And isn't it fun sharing all of the things that we make with other people? If you're a knitter, I'm sure that you have found all kinds of groups of people and all kinds of things. If you knit in public, you make all kinds of connections. I have that more because I talk more about quilting, and that's part of the Analog Life Project, I think, is just sitting down and taking your time, slowly working on a project. So, what have I been quilting on recently? Simple things. I did block 12 and 13 of the Fantabulous Scrappy Stars. This period between our podcast last and now. And we are only having 16 blocks in this quilt. Now, if you remember, I'm paper piecing mine 8.5-inch blocks. Angel of Halo Inspirations is doing a quilt along, and while the quilt along is going, the pattern is free. So we only have 16 blocks, so that means 2 more months of the quilt along. And I still haven't started working on the sashing strips, which are little strips put together. And yeah, I'm going to procrastinate on it. That just seems how I need a little bit of pressure to get rolling. Um, Overall, this is not a impossible quilt to do, either in the small blocks like I'm doing, and the center blocks are 4.5 inches. So what you do is each star is made of flying geese to make an 8-pointed star with some squares, and then the center block, I'm paper piecing it with It's Sew Emma foundation pads for both pieces. And Angel has designed a couple of them which don't have a pad to use, but it's fantastic. This is really a fun scrap buster. I would encourage you to check it out. It will be printed as a pattern for sale in the future. Halo Inspired is her website. You can see her blog, links to her tutorials on a YouTube channel, as well as her quilt shop. Love, love, love this quilt. It was a brilliant design. It's really easy to do one block at a time, which is how I work. 15 minutes at a time, and you can have parts of these blocks done. Sometimes, you can do the flying geese in 15 minutes and then work on segments of your center block in 15-minute to half-hour increments. And then next thing you know, you have it done. So that's really all I've been sewing. I haven't made any progress in the last week or so on the Sew Happy quilt by Lori Holt. It is in the World of Lori Holt Volume 2 pattern. It's a sewing machine with notions and stars. Absolutely love the design. Absolutely hate how Riley Blake printed this pattern in the World of Lori Holt. I love Lori Holt's patterns that are printed by It's Sew Emma in the books. And the next quilt that I think I'm going to work on, possibly for my 60th birthday Jubilee progress, is Prairie Flowers or Meadow. Can't remember. It's in the last book I bought from Lori Holt, and I'll talk about that more in the future. But those are some thoughts that I have. She has it as a bed runner. I think I'm going to make mine more as a twin size, but we'll see. It's all squares. Nothing difficult, but the layout. You have to follow the pattern. I have a Lori Holt stash that I'd like to use up for it, and blending in other fabrics in my stash that I think would look really good in it. It would make a great scrappy quilt too. If you want to keep the flower motif going, you just need to have 4 squares of the same color. So that's what I'm working on, and that's my plan for this year. I'm not planning on jumping on any other quilt alongs for the year because I want to finish. I'm slapping my thigh. I want to finish all of the quilt tops that I have. I'm down to about 4 or 5 of mine and a couple of my mom's, and I want to quilt them on the long arm. I kind of got out of the habit last year, had more problems probably with my back and legs standing for periods of time, but that's getting much, much better. And finish, finish, finish. That's what I want to do this year. I have been slowly getting things finished. I quilted all of the quilts that I want to hang at the library. It's a display that our Quilt Guild does for the month of March, which I believe is National Craft Month, and our guild has a couple of challenges that we did this last year, like cutting up a panel, the panel challenge, into anything you want. I mean, someone did bags, and one lady sewed a pair of pants. They're adorable. And we used a Shop Hop panel from the Michigan Shop Hop. So if you're familiar with that panel, mine turned into a Michigan themed quilt with some really fun square and squares and just kind of jigsawed it, improved it together. And the next quilt that I'm doing is the color challenge, which they pulled a card out of a color cube, and it was number 45, which stands for the 45th parallel that we live on. And it happened to be autumn colors, and I had two quilts really in progress when they pulled that. One is a Lori Holt apple quilt, and another one was the fall themed of the Stitchy Stars that she did for a table runner. I, however, made it into a wall hanging and did one block twice. So those are all ready to go. I need to stitch down a binding on a wild card. You can add a quilt that you did this last year that hasn't been displayed. And I finished one of the Gnome Angels 100 block twins. It has 50 of the blocks in each. Well, they're really more lap sized. And I have that binding, I'm hand stitching, and I'm halfway done with it. So by the 1st of March and ready to hang. So I'll have 4 quilts in there. We'll see if there's room for all 4. It looks like there will be. So I'm excited. This is keeping me motivated, and I'm really shocked because I've always been a loner. Because of my job, I just get tired and didn't have time when my kids were at home to join clubs or groups or rotating, revolving, there's the word, revolving meetings. And I joined the guild. This is my 2nd year, and I'm going to join again for a 3rd year, and I'll tell you why. We're doing things that I never thought I would want to do. And some of those are like the color challenge, cutting up a panel challenge, which has inspired me to use up a couple of the other panels that I've bought over years and didn't know what to do with them. And next month, we're making, well, 2 months, we're making a tote bag. And I'm actually using Soft and Stable, which I've never used before. Some people are using Bosal, which is a alternative to batting, and it's stiff. Soft and Stable is not probably quite as stiff, but it gives the body of the bag much more firmness, and it's really nice and thick. And I did something that I didn't think I would be able to do, and I quilted it on my little domestic machine, my Janome. So today I cut out, well, this week I cut out the 5 pieces for the body of the bag, and I quilted 4 of them. Now I cut the pieces bigger than I needed to, and I cut the Soft and Stable even bigger, and I still have lots left over. Maybe I'll make another bag. Now I have to decide how I want the bottom. They're using foam core to put in the bottom that's slipped into like a little bag. And another bag I bought at a silent auction has a piece of like firm acrylic rectangle in the bottom. I don't know. Do I need it super stiff at the bottom? Do I want to do that? I have a piece of Bosal that is rectangular. It's not quite big enough. It was very, very stiff, but you were to iron your fabric on it and then you could mold it with heat. And then I was going to do that project and make a quilted tray and decided not to do it, but I'm thinking it would be great for the bottom of a bag. And I might have to just put 2 pieces together and then iron it to the lining. That's my thought. I don't know. Will I do it? Maybe I'll just cut them out and stick them in the bottom and call it good. Who knows? We'll see how fussy I get with the details. It does not have a zipper in it. I don't know. Maybe I will attempt that. We will see. It's 2 months, and I don't have a zipper purchased that's long enough. And I've never really done zippers. So, but why not? It would be a good time to learn in the 3 hours block of time that we're doing as a group. So, and there's lots of very talented people in the group. And then after that, I'm teaching a class on the Wonky Log Cabin is an introduction to improv. Nobody in this group has done improv. Are you surprised? It's a pretty traditional local group of quilters, and they're most of them are retired in 70s and some in their 80s, and they're pretty traditional in the piecing. Not in colors though. Man, these ladies know how to pick colors. We currently don't have any um, gentlemen in the group, and overall, I think we're going to introduce them into improv with Wonky Log Cabins. And I was thinking, I haven't taught a class or done improv in, well, since before COVID. It's a lot of brain power. And if you remember, I have long COVID. And actually, that was the lingering thing that seems to be getting better every year is trying to pull things out of your memory and trying to get things clicking along on all cylinders in your brain. It just kind of slowed down there for a minute, and recall was a problem. So I'm thinking of doing a Facebook Live for the group, if I can figure out how to do it, in April, because I'm doing this class at the beginning of May. If there's any interest in doing this, leave me a comment and I will really start planning it if there's an interest in doing it. And it would be like a Facebook Live in the group of My Creative Corner 3. And we could have a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon of sewing a wonky log cabin. And I would, I don't know, I would what? I don't know what I want to do with with it. I just need practice, and I have no confidence since I've had long COVID, and since COVID, I haven't done any teaching. I haven't really done a lot of that kind of stuff. So I need to get my confidence back. And getting my face in front of a camera is always nerve wracking. But teaching in front of this group of people I know feels a little bit safer. But anyway, if there's an interest in the Wonky Log Cabin and doing it as a Facebook Live, that would be awesome. Let me know. You can leave a note or a comment in the show notes at My Creative Corner 3. Look for today's podcast. And you can always email me at vholloway12345 at gmail.com. What's the story with that email that's 25 years long? Hey, I had it at the dawn of the internet when you didn't really think about having 25 characters in your email. Oh, I know. How funny. So everybody tells me that every quilt has a story, every creator has a story, and every project has a story. And my stories are usually that in my firehorse nature, impulsively, I'll say, "Oh my gosh, isn't that the cutest project?" And I'm going to do it. Well, that's how I bought that yarn. I bought one skein when I should have bought three at Mother of Yarns because I loved that color and I wanted to see if it was itchy. Impulse, did I have a plan? No. I bought a whole bunch of other yarn, a Barocco baby yarn. It's DK weight and more cottony. And once I'm done knitting this hood, I'm going to get it back out and work on the piece by piece, block by block knit color work quilt. But that's kind of in pause right now while I'm working on a simpler quilt. And the story behind the quilt along is that Angel posted that she's going to do the Scrappy Stars, and then we got talking in her her Facebook Live about wouldn't it make a fun quilt and wouldn't it be fun to have the centers be different? And I'm like, I'm in, and I would do the smaller pieces because I have all of the collection of the Fat Quarter Shop's owned It's So Emma foundation paper piecing pads, and Angel sells them in her store also. And I thought, wouldn't it be a great project to use up those tiny little pads? That's the story. Nothing moving, nothing miraculous, except I need to have these types of crafts and stuff to help me in my analog life to stay off the phone, to quit Googling everything, and to quit looking up things and not following up on making them, aka Pinterest. And the other part is it's a great way to find balance and calmness in your life, especially if you have stress or if you're working, raising children. Making has been the thing that has been my anchor in day to day life. And I'm also finding that writing, like journaling or just writing things, has been too. So that's my story as a maker. And I love to talk about that here in the podcast. And so I'm looking for this year, maybe as I finish up the old things and start embarking on new, is looking for things that I've never done before, things that I've always wanted to do. Do you remember last year I took the pottery class in the fall? And I think I'll take another one-off class. It was not going to be 6 weeks like the classes I took in the beginner course, but trying different things. Maybe try throwing a pot again. That was so much fun. There was so much satisfaction in it. And I think that's the other part of why I enjoy making so much. It makes me feel really good, as well as helping with stress management and being grounded. That's really that's really it on making. Now, something that I did that was super fun, I thought I'd end on is took a trip last weekend because it was our 40th wedding anniversary. I looked up all of these celebrations. So 40 years is the Ruby Jubilee, the Ruby year. And we happened to go to a Grand Rapids Griffins game. They are the farm team for the Red Wings. Red, their home uniforms were red. My husband and I got matching hockey jerseys. Our son went with us and he wore the Red Wings jersey. We had a phenomenal day at the game. The day before, our son was in a play called Mom's Gift. And it's really a funny, touching, and sad, tears flowed story. And it was I'll give you a little hint, but I won't give you the whole story. Mom has suddenly passed away, and she comes back on a weekend or an hour or two of a gathering of her family to finish the business, aka she needs to earn her wings. You laugh, you cry, and it was very touching, and it happened to be on our anniversary weekend. Perfect. We made a great trip of the entire weekend to celebrate our Ruby. And I was very proud I was able to wear my wedding ring because I had put it in a box for safekeeping for a while because my hands were swollen, gained weight, couldn't wear it. And I finally was like last year, what am I waiting for? Just put the money, the time, and go to the jewelry shop that I bought it at in my hometown, and we will get that put to the right size so I can proudly wear it in my 40th year. I started wearing it last year about my birthday and my 39th year of marriage. It was a very big symbol for me to move forward in accepting things where they're at while always improving. And this week, I took yesterday off because my husband had an appointment down at the VA clinic in Saginaw. which is a few hours from here. And I was like, I don't have a lot going on at work. Why don't we go out to lunch? And then it turned into, hey, why don't we stop at the Birch Run Outlet Center? Birch Run, Michigan is down in that area, and that's where they have stores where I buy a lot of my clothes and he buys his shoes. I walked in the store and the person greeted me. She was lovely. It's Elaine Bryant. And I said, I need a new work outfit. I decided that my clothes are raggedy, baggedy, ready to go in the trash, not even worth putting to Goodwill. They're just worn out. I wear my clothes in a capsule wardrobe until they're threadbare. And she looked at what I was wearing, and I said, I just need an outfit for work that's comfortable. She walked me over to some great, what do they call it? Ponte knit pants, which is what these current pants that I've been wearing are, and some new spring shirts in the cut that I love, which is a little bit fuller around the middle and gives a nice flow in pretty colors. So I bought two outfits, and I may go back online and see if there's a third color or a fourth color in the shirts. I buy the same thing like a uniform. If it fits and I like it and I tried it on and I pick things that actually fit instead of being two sizes too big, and I will wear every single color in them. And those pants are great. They're a flare cut pant, soft waistband, no hard pants for me. And they're a little bit long, so I won't have capri length pants, which is what I've been wearing the last few years, even in the winter with my funky socks. And I'm ready to have a more polished look. Maybe in my 60th year, it'll make me look a little more stylish, a little bit thinner, younger. How about more comfortable? And that was my splurge for the week. We went to Costco twice this week. Yes, we went to Costco last weekend on the trip around to Grand Rapids and seeing our son. Oh my gosh, we spent so much money at Costco. And then my husband forgot his prescription. We thought this year we'll try buying eyeglasses at Costco. And I didn't think that there would be a savings in buying glasses there and that it would be too difficult because the nearest Costco is 2 hours from my house. We spent each about $600 a couple years ago each for our glasses at the local eyeglass place, Vision Shop. No, it's the eye doctor's. Yeah, the eye doctor's office. And I enjoy the quality of them, but man, my husband retired. We need to start counting our pennies. And so, with all the bells and whistles, he got glasses. So, I'm saying if you don't have a Costco membership, this alone might convince you if you're paying a lot of money for glasses. The frames were $72, which fell well within the allowance of what I get on my insurance plan. And he got the Flex glass frames that he likes, glasses frames. So a little flexy on the temples and the glare, anti-scratch, all the bells and whistles on the lenses, progressive bifocal so you don't see the line. And it was $120. So I didn't feel bad that I spent $300 last weekend. And we have purchased so many grocery items that on the credit card that Costco has, I got my rewards back and I bought more things that I really enjoy, vitamins, health and beauty aids, and of course, I couldn't pass up the hand blown glass mushrooms that are solar lit and you can put them out in your garden. Oh, yes, they're going in my fairy garden. They're adorable. Three different mushrooms, blown glass, people. Three of them for $30, and they're going to look fantastic in my garden. I am getting so excited for spring. I am getting ready to start seeds when I buy some seeds this week, and I'm going to put them in water jug, like a milk jug, and with soil and tape it around after I sow the seeds and water them through the top. I've seen this all over the internet, and maybe it will work. I've never had seedlings work when I go from seed to transplanting them outside. Wish me luck on it. So I thought I would share all of that because I love, love Costco. But I forgot to tell you the most important thing about the Lane Bryant trip. And I bought that outfit, and the girls who worked there were trying on outfits, and the lady, there were women. The women worked there, and one of them goes, "Oh, I have to buy this sweater today." And I said, "Oh my goodness, it would be such a dangerous thing for me to work in a clothing store or even the quilt shop that's near my house because I would buy up too many treats for myself in fabric." And I said, "I have drank the Kool-Aid of the quilt cult, maybe a little too much. I am in deep." And the young woman who has been waiting on me this whole time and checking me out and making sure the second pair of pants were on order because they only had one in the store, looked at me and she goes, "You quilt?" I go, "I sure do." She goes, "When did you start?" I go, "I've been quilting my entire life." Well, anyway, this young lady has only been quilting 2 years, and she checked me out and she goes, "Can I show you the latest quilt that I made?" I said, "Absolutely, you can show me the latest quilt that you made. It is gorgeous." It was a tulip pink fabric from the, was it grayscale? And there are really large hexagon special cut. Oh my goodness, it was absolutely gorgeous. And she goes, "Do you have a long arm?" Because I told her I do a lot of quilting. I said, "I do." She goes, "I'm looking for someone to quilt this." And I said, "I've retired from quilting for other people." But she says, "Well, I've been talking to someone in another state who could custom free motion quilt it for me. And I'm hoping to enter it in the Grand Rapids Quilt Show." And I said, "Absolutely, you should." It was beautiful. And I hope that our paths cross again because she was delightful. And there's just something about being a maker that if you're very excited and passionate about what you're making, I happen to spend most of my time quilting. But my daughter said the same thing about knitting. She mentioned it to somebody at an appointment, and the person showed her, the nurse showed her her project that she was knitting because my daughter's knitting sweaters. Yes, absolutely. I showed her a couple quilts that I've been making. We had the most delightful exchange of ideas and chatting for a couple of minutes. And I just felt that the world still had so many good people in it and so many, she was the best at customer service. And, I was thrilled to have another quilter um, wait on me. I tell you, if you are a maker and you're working on something and you're passionate about, you're going to meet somebody because you may talk about it and the person may be another quilter. Michigan people, when we travel around the world, we meet other Michigan people for some reason. I don't know. It's a funky thing. And, you know, all that to say is I'm going to the AQS Paducah Quilt Show in April, the end of April. And I'm very scared and nervous to do this because I'm going by myself. And my husband's not into spending all day at a quilt show. I'm going to be there for 2.5 days. And one of the afternoons, I'm taking a class on making a fabric book journal. And I'm very excited about that. But if you're going to be at AQS Paducah, let me know. I'm really, really excited about going. I'll be there Thursday and Saturday walking the show. And just send me a comment or a message or something, and maybe you and I could finally meet face to face. And have a few minutes to exchange our ideas. Um, that just made me feel warm inside when I chatted with another quilter who is as passionate about it as I am. So share your projects, share your joy, share your love of making. And I'm going to start carrying my knit projects with me too, because I would love to meet more knitters. I do a lot of crocheting, and I'm going to get my crochet project back out. Yes, I have a crochet project too. And maybe I'll get some courage to go to the sit and knit at the closest knit shop to me is 20 miles away, maybe 30 miles away, in that ballpark. And maybe I'll meet some other knitters there. So, anyway, you have a most lovely day. And if you have a fun maker story about meeting another quilter, knitter, or other project, or maybe potter, because I took some pottery classes, tell me about your story. It's just always heartwarming to me when you meet lovely people in the wild. Have a most wonderful week. Take time to ground yourself every day. Take 15 minutes to make something and create on, everyone.